Hello, everyone. Have you ever thought about how you can do multiple things one after another, and then, if you want, reverse the whole process? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. We'll be looking at function composition and inverse functions. And trust me, you're using this stuff every single day without even realizing it. So let's begin.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Sir, what does maths have to do with my Instagram reels? But what if I told you that every single time you pick a video, slap on that cool filter, and then add that trending audio clip, you're actually doing some pretty cool math? Yeah, you heard me right. You're literally creating a composition of functions. Let's see how.
So this whole process of doing things step by step, we can call it a function chain. It's just a sequence of actions, one after the other. In mathematics, we just give these actions a bit of a fancy name. We call them functions. But don't let that word scare you. The basic idea is super simple.
Let's think about it like this. Your raw video, the one straight from your phone's camera, that's your starting point, our input x. Now, the first thing you do is apply a filter, right? Let's call that action our function f. The result is a filtered video. Now, this filtered video becomes the new input for our next action, adding sound. Let's call that function g. And the final reel you post, that's the result of this whole chain. So you see, we take x, we apply f to it, and then we take that result and apply g to it. Simple.
Okay, now let's look at the proper NCERT definition. I know, it looks a bit scary with all the symbols, but I promise you, it's saying the exact same thing we just discussed with our Instagram reel. This GOF that you see here, it's just the mathematical way of writing do f first, then do g. So GOF of x simply means you calculate f of x first, that's our filter, and then you apply g, our sound, to whatever result you got. The output of the first function becomes the input for the second. That's all it is.
Now, listen very carefully, because this is the #1 place where students make a mistake. When we see go of x, our brain wants to read it from left to right? We want to do g first. But no, in function composition, you have to work from the inside out. You always start with the function that's closest to the x. So in go of f of x, you apply f first. Please remember this. It will save you so many marks. Work from right to left or inside to out.
You might still be thinking, does the order really matter that much? Well, let's not just talk about it. Let's prove it with a simple calculation. We're going to calculate both GOF and FOG using the same functions and see if they give us the same answer. What do you think will happen?
Okay, let's take two very simple functions. F of x equals 2x and g of x equals x plus 1. First, let's find go of x. Remember the rule? Start with the inside function, f of x, so we substitute f of x with 2x. This gives us g of 2x. Now, what does the function g do? It just takes its input and adds 1. Here, the input is 2x, so g of 2x becomes 2x plus 1. Easy, right? Now, let's try it the other way. Fog of x. This time, the inside function is g of x. We substitute g of x with x plus 1. This gives us f of x plus 1. And what does function f do? It doubles its input. So it takes x plus 1 and multiplies it by 2. That gives us 2 times x plus 1, which is 2x plus 2. Now look, on one hand we got 2x plus 1, and on the other we have 2x plus 2. Are they the same? Absolutely not. So there you have it, proof that orders everything in composition.
Okay, so our reel is live, it's getting views, but wait. Oh no, we've made a terrible mistake. We used the wrong filter, or maybe the audio is totally off. Now on Instagram, there's no real undo button for this, is there? You have to delete the whole thing and start over. But what about in mathematics? Is there a magical undo button that can reverse a function? The answer is yes. In mathematics, we absolutely have an undo button. And this super useful tool is called an inverse function. It's exactly what it sounds like, a function that does the complete opposite of the original function. It takes you from the final answer, the output, and brings you all the way back to where you started, your original input. Right, let's look at the formal definition. A function f is called invertible if we can find another function, let's call it g, that acts as its perfect partner. What does that mean? It means if you do the function f and then immediately do its partner g, it's like nothing happened. You get back to your original x. This is what go of f equals ix means. And it has to work both ways. If you do g first and then f, you should also get back to where you started. That's what fog equals iy means. This special partner function is called the inverse, and we write it as f with a small -1 on top. But there's a catch, and it's a big one.
not every function can have an inverse. It's just like in real life, right? Some things you just can't undo. For a function to have this perfect undo button, it has to be, well, special. It has to follow two very, very strict rules. So what are these two golden rules? To understand them, let's go back to our trusty Instagram filter example. You'll see these rules are not just some random math stuff. They're actually very logical.
Okay, problem number 1, confusion. Imagine you have a strange filter. When you apply it to a video of a cat, it looks a certain way. But when you apply it to a video of a dog, it ends up looking exactly the same. Now, if you give this final video to the undo button, what is it supposed to do? It's completely confused. Should it give you back the cat video or the dog video? It has no way of knowing. This is why a function must be one-to-one, which is also called injective. Every different input must lead to a different output. No confusion allowed.
All right, on to problem number 2, a dead end. Let's say our filter can only create black and white videos. Now imagine you try to use its undo feature on a full-color video. What will the undo function do? It will be completely stuck. It's at a dead end because that color video could never ever have been made by our original black and white filter. The undo button simply has nowhere to go back to. This is why a function must also be onto or surjective. It means that every possible output must be achievable. No dead ends.
So let's put it all together. This is the golden rule. For a function to have that perfect undo button, it needs to satisfy both conditions we just talked about. First, it must be one-to-one to avoid any confusion. Second, it must be onto to avoid any dead ends. And when a function is both one-to-one and onto, we give it a special name. We call it bijective. So the most important line you'll learn today is this. A function is invertible if and only if it is bijective. That's it. That's the main rule.
Fantastic. So now we know exactly when a function has an inverse. It has to be bijective. But the next big question is, how do we actually find the inverse? Well, don't worry, it's not some big secret. There's a simple 4-step method that works like a charm every time.
Here are the 4 simple steps to find f inverse of x. Step 1. Just replace f of x with y. This just makes the equation look cleaner. Step 2. This is the most important step. You literally swap the variables x and y. Everywhere you see an x, write y, and everywhere you see a y, write x. This is the actual inverting part. Step 3. Now it's just a matter of your algebra skills. Rearrange the new equation to solve for y. Get y all alone on one side. And finally, step 4. This new expression you have for y, that is your inverse function. You just replace the y with the proper notation, f inverse of x, and you're done.
Phew. Okay, that was a lot to cover, right? We went all the way from Instagram Reels to something called a bijective function. So before we wrap up, let's do a very quick recap of the main points.
Okay, here are the 3 key things to remember. First, composition, GOF, means chaining functions together. And please remember the most important part, you apply the function on the right, the f, first. Second, an inverse function, f inverse, is just the math world's undo button. And third, and this is the golden rule, a function can only have an inverse if it's bijective, which means it has to be both one-to-one and onto. And that brings us to the end of our discussion today. But before you go, I want to leave you with a thought. You now know how functions combine one after the other. Think about your own digital life. Maybe you take a photo, edit it in one app, then upload it to Instagram, add a caption, and then share it to your story. That's a huge chain of functions. So my question to you is, what's the most complex chain of functions you use every day? Think about it. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next one.